We're going to begin. I want to welcome everyone to the second special hearing on deputy gangs of the LA County Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission. My colleagues at Loyola have asked if I could request that everyone wear a mask in the room because of the rising COVID rate. And if you need to speak, if you're addressing at the podium or whatever, I think it's fine for you to take the mask off so everyone can hear you. But the rest of us, just to stay safe, we're going to wear the masks when we're not actively speaking. So at this time, I think I don't know if we should ratify subpoenas before the special counsel starts his presentation.
Take a roll.
Take roll.
My colleague, the chair of the ad hoc committee on deputy gangs, has graciously reminded me that we ought to take roll before we begin this special proceeding. Thank you, Lael.
You're welcome.
I'm going to take a vote. Chair Kennedy?
Here.
Here.
Cliques?
Present.
Bert?
Present.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Here.
Present.
She is absent. She notified me last night that she had a conflict and will not be able to be here. Okay, so the issue of ratification has been brought up.
I have a motion in that regard, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And just by way of background, several subpoenas have been authorized, have been reviewed by the ad hoc committee regarding subpoenas of the Oversight Commission and have been signed off on all per motion of April 21st, 2022 of the full commission that permits this procedure to go forward. It does contemplate that once subpoenas are issued and at an appropriate time, would be when it's safe to reveal a witness's name and reduces the likelihood of intimidation of a witness. It would be those individuals who have been subpoenaed there would be a ratification by the full commission of the subpoenas that have been approved by the ad hoc committee and signed off on by the chair of the commission. So it's with that background in mind that there are three subpoenas that I'm going to ask the full commission to consider on motion ratifying, and they specifically name the individuals. I might also note, just for the record, that county counsel did advise us that even though we had, I think, done a ratification motion, it was a blanket ratification motion, and that it would be prudent for the Oversight Commission to, when it does ratify the specific individual that was subpoenaed. So that's what we have in mind here. So the motion is, whereas on April 21st, 2022, strike that. Let me start over. Whereas at the April 21, 2022 hearing of the Los Angeles County Sheriff Oversight Commission, hereinafter referred to as commission, the commission adopted a motion authorizing the chair or vice chair of the commission to sign subpoenas pursuant to any and all authority the commission has to subpoena witnesses to appear and testify under oath before it. Whereas the motion provided that such subpoenas shall be ratified by the commission after review by the commission's ad hoc committee regarding subpoena and the issuance of the commission's by the commission's chair or vice chair. Whereas the commission's ad hoc committee regarding subpoenas reviewed and approved the issuance of each of the subpoenas for the appearance and testimony of the below named individuals, and whereas the chair of the commission duly signed and issued subpoenas for each of them to appear and testify before the commission, now therefore the motion of the Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission ratifies the issuance of subpoenas issued and served on Larry Waldy, Eli Vera, and Matthew Berson. Copies of the subpoenas and proofs of service of same are hereby attached and made a part of the official records of the commission. So that would be the ratification motion. We'll need a second for it, and then we'll have discussion and whatever, and then vote on it, I would suggest, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I don't see any discussion, any commissioner wanting to talk about it. Do we need public comment or should we take, okay, public comment? No, let's finish this matter. So there's no comment on this? Should we have a vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Bonner?
Aye.
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 Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Is there any other business, Commissioner Bonner?
Mr. Chair, I would point out to the commission and the members of the public that are here that this commission did just ratify the subpoena that was issued and duly served on Matthew Berson to appear here this morning to give testimony with respect to his knowledge with regard to deputy cliques, gangs, or exclusionary subgroups. And that testimony became pretty clearly important based upon the evidence that was adduced and presented at our last hearing of the last special hearing with regard to this investigation. So I'm wondering whether we have Mr. Berson here, and are we prepared to proceed with him? I guess I would ask Mr. Deixler that question.
Prepared to proceed with Mr. Berson. Unfortunately, Mr. Berson has decided to not honor the subpoena. When I have the opportunity to speak, I'd like to indicate exactly why his testimony is critical at this juncture.
I think that would be appropriate at the appropriate time, and I do think that perhaps we should, this commission should consider a motion to enforce the subpoena, and I mean an expedited enforcement proceeding in the LA County Superior Court to require Mr. Berson to appear here and to show cause why he is not here and has not testified, and to seek whatever appropriate sanctions there are against a witness who has apparently just openly flouted the subpoena that was issued to him by this commission. But I don't know, it may be appropriate time to hear from Mr. Deixler on this. I leave that to the chair as to what order we want to take things.
Yes, I think what we'll do is we'll take that up after we hear from our pro bono special counsel regarding his presentation for this second special hearing. So, Bert, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you and present. As indicated, our witness, first witness today was Division Chief Matthew Berson, who is recently retired. He was personally served on June 2nd at 7:46 a.m. with the subpoena in question, which he has declined to respond to. I think it's important for context that I indicate to you why his testimony is important. And first, let me show you a bit of a video from a public statement that Chief Berson offered in public.
My name is Matthew Berson. That's MATTHEWBURSON. And I'm the chief of the department's Professional Standards Division. And my areas of responsibility include Internal Affairs Bureau, known as IAB, and the Internal Criminal Investigations Bureau. I am here to strongly denounce alleged deputy subgroups and commonly referred to as deputy gangs. I have more than 30 years of experience on this part, and I take the utmost pride in this profession. I am absolutely sick of the mere allegation of any deputy hiding behind a badge to hurt anyone. As you have heard for decades, LASD has been under intense scrutiny as a result of these groups surfacing in various sheriff stations around the county. Names such as Vikings, Beavers, Regulators, Little Devils, Cowboys, 2,000 and 3,000 boys, Jump Boys, and most recently, and Executioners, have not only caused great embarrassment and concern to the department, but to the community as well. Currently, AB is conducting a comprehensive investigation into the existence of so-called executioners. However, our intent is to examine the department in its entirety. I want to assure you, this administration has taken an aggressive stance in combating this issue. We utilize any resource necessary to identify those individuals involved in adverse behavior, whether administrative or criminal. We have also reached out to the FBI for assistance, knowing that with their dedication and expertise, we will accomplish much more than the previous administration, as our goal is transparency. The department has also implemented a new policy prohibiting the participation of any subversive groups, which is the first of its kind. On behalf
While Chief Berson was saying that in public, let me remind you of what was being done in private. Would you please put up admitted exhibit number 4? And I'd like to have you turn your attention to the entries in this log of first November 9th, 2018 on page 4. And if you could make that larger. As you'll recall from the testimony of the Inspector General, this reflected an advice from the Office of Inspector General wanting additional questions about subcultures at East LA. Captain Berson confirmed additional questions needed to be asked. If you go to the next page and the entry on November 27th, canceled interviews due to Captain/Chief Berson. He wanted to make sure I didn't have to ask questions about subculture groups at ELA Station. Worked on Sergeant Wolanski case due to statute date is coming up. And if you turn now to the entry of December 7th, received the go-ahead to start interviewing witnesses for this case. Also, the Chief Berson, he had been promoted at this point, informed me that I do not need to ask about subculture group at East LA Station. We've received information from a witness reflecting a meeting between Chief Berson and Sheriff Villanueva on or about December 3rd, 2018. It's for this reason of the critical relevance of Chief Berson's testimony that we seek the authority of the commission to proceed to court to compel with this commission's approval and the court's approval, the commission's subpoena. As I've indicated in my prior procedural opening statement to the commission, we faced witnesses who agreed to be interviewed, in some cases, multiple interviews, but have refused to testify publicly, even under a promise of anonymity. The witnesses have stressed as the reason career suicide, fear, physical harm, or both. But I'd like to provide what in a court setting we would regard as an offer of proof about what some of these witnesses would have been willing to testify to. One witness with the familiarity of the operation of East LA has recounted the control of the station by the banditos and how by control of scheduling and assignments, the banditos have superseded the official hierarchy. The witness says that the behavior of the banditos mimicked the behaviors of criminal street gangs in their language, a discrimination against blacks, against women, and non-Mexican American Latinos. The witness knows and has told us that the power is controlled by when deputies get off training, who was assigned, what duties at the station. Deputies were taxed, that is, forced to pay for expenses as directed by banditos. The witness is aware of assaults upon deputies by banditos, withheld backup, demeaning and derogatory statements made over the radio, interference with certain deputies' ability to communicate needs over the radio, written statements on station walls naming deputies as weak or punks, and removing lug nuts from the tires of disfavored deputies. Another LA deputy fully corroborates the banditos' control of East LA Station, the presence of tattoos on the shot callers at the station, the failure to provide backup on dangerous calls, the assaults upon disfavored deputies, and the wrongful arrest of civilians to falsely project satisfactory statistics. This witness declines to testify for fear of retaliation in the witness's career. Third witness who has declined to testify for reasons of career suicide and fear of physical retaliation by being left in a dangerous situation without backup has provided information about the return of the 3,000 boys to the men's central jail with readily identifiable shot callers leading needless or excessive force upon inmates. Finally, a ranking officer who has percipient knowledge of the deputy on deputy shooting evidenced by this photo has declined to testify for fear of a career retaliation by the sheriff. This reflects an attempt to remove a deputy gang tattoo for a failure to adhere to the policies of that particular deputy gang. It's out of respect for what we assess as bona fide concerns that we have not, as yet, sought to compel testimony of these and other similarly situated witnesses. But to expedite achievement of the commission's announced purpose, we request the commission to consider issuing testimonial subpoenas to Larry Delmise, Chief April Tardy, Under Sheriff Murakami, and Sheriff Villanueva. And I understand that we are scheduling a hearing for July 1st, and so it would be our request that those subpoenas, if consistent with the commission's desires, be issued forthwith so they may be served. And so we may have either the appearance of the witnesses or proceed to enforce the subpoenas with alacrity. And unfortunately, I have no witness who can testify today. And so I'm eager to respond to any questions.
That itself speaks volumes that we're sitting here and Matthew Berson, subpoenaed to appear and testify here, is not present. By the way, what was the spelling of the first witness that you're requesting that the Oversight Commission consider subpoenaing for our next hearing on July 1st, 2022? Larry Del something, and I just.
Delmise.
MES.
Two separate words, Del, and then Mies is MESE.
See. Thank you, Mr. Deixler.
Mr. Deixler asked if there are any questions.
I don't.
Leo?
Yes, what would you expect Mr. Delmise to testify to?
So Mr. Delmise served as describe him as the chief of staff to the sheriff. He is involved in arranging appointments, scheduling, and I believe he will confirm the fact that Chief Berson had a meeting on or about December 3rd, 4 days before the instruction that we've just seen in the log with Sheriff Villanueva.
And what about April Tardy?
April Tardy is the head of the patrol division, and she would provide information about the existence of deputy gangs, the efforts made consistent with Chief Berson's representation to the public about a full investigation and commitment to that policy.
Was she, what was her supervisorial relationship to Chief Berson?
I think they were in separate tracks. I have the org chart, and I can, if you'd like, I can consult with it for a second, but I believe they're in separate tracks.
I agree. Thank you. I just think that that information is important for other commissioners and also for the record. So thank you for that.
I have a motion, Mr. Chair, that might provoke some additional discussion. I don't know, but it might be appropriate based
Sure.
upon the statements of the lead special counsel, lead special pro bono counsel for the Oversight Commission's investigation. And that is that the motion would be that this commission, by the way, let me say by way of background, that while the ad hoc committee on subpoenas can review and approve, and then the chair can sign, there's no reason that the commission, when it's convened, can't go ahead and vote to issue subpoenas. So with that in mind, the motion would be to require the following individuals to appear and testify under oath at our next scheduled meeting, special hearing with respect to the Oversight Commission's investigation on July 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I think we can state the place of the hearing is likely to be here at Loyola Law School at the Robinson Auditorium.
Correct.
The following individuals: Larry Delmise, April Tardy or Tandy, is it?
Tardy.
Tardy. April Tardy, Undersecretary Murakami. Strike that, Undersheriff. Oh, boy, it's like the Washington days here. But anyway, Under Sheriff Murakami and Sheriff Alex Villanueva. So that would be the motion, that those subpoenas issued be signed by the chair, and that prompt action be taken to serve all 4 of those subpoenas, so that those individuals will be under subpoena to appear and testify at the next hearing. I'm kind of repeating what the motion was, but that's the gist of the motion.
And I'll second that motion.
Any discussion amongst the commissioners about this motion to subpoena these 4 LASD officials?
I will just say I think it's totally appropriate. I'm really distressed. Look, let's just throw the record. Let me make a record here. We issued this commission issued a subpoena, actually several subpoenas, 3 in total, to Sheriff Villanueva. At least 1 subpoena to Under Sheriff Murakami. When did we do that? Last September. Last September, we issued these subpoenas, and they were to appear and testify before this commission at our regularly scheduled October 2021 meeting. They did not appear. They ignored and flouted our subpoena. We then voted to enforce our subpoenas, and County Counsel did in January of this year file an action in LA County Superior Court to enforce that subpoena. When I say there were 3 subpoenas in Sheriff, the one that's pertinent here was the one in which we sought his testimony with respect to whether deputy gangs or cliques continued to exist within the Sheriff's Department, whether his policy, his alleged policy to deal with this issue had been effective or not, and he's not here. So we're still waiting for that testimony, all right? We've been advised, now you might ask, well, why do we need a subpoena for the sheriff? We already have a subpoena for him for this very subject matter. And the reason we do is we've been advised by County Counsel that our subpoena then would have allowed him to testify by a Zoom-type platform. So if we want him in person, we actually have to issue a new subpoena. And that's why we're issuing a new subpoena, in my view, against Sheriff Villanueva, because we already have a subpoena, which we've been trying to enforce for since last October. So in any event, that's the record with respect to Sheriff Villanueva, but we just need to subpoena him and get him here, and eventually, hopefully, the Superior Court will understand the urgency of this investigation and that they will act promptly to require that the sheriff appear and testify under oath before this Oversight Commission on this incredibly important matter that's infecting the LA County Sheriff's Department. Excuse me, Mr.
Mayor
Deixler.
Bonner, may I just add to your record? It should be noted that on 3 separate occasions in writing, I've invited the sheriff to come here to testify. He has informed me through a Lieutenant O'Donnell, who perhaps is here today, that he's not going to attend voluntarily, which is in part what informs the request for a subpoena.
I think our Inspector General would like to comment on this as well. Mr. Huntsman?
I wanted to join Special Counsel Deixler in making this record. And although I know many of you know this, some of our commissioners are newer, we have served numerous subpoenas along with the Civilian Oversight Commission, the Inspector General's office has, in order to conduct investigation in support of what you're doing and vice versa. In a more private context. This is, of course, a public hearing in which you're making findings regarding the Penal Code's provisions on deputy gangs. And we've been working privately to begin an investigation. What I have found is that we haven't had any cooperation in terms of our requests or our subpoenas, almost none. And we also have sought to have the subpoenas compelled, and it's been a very slow process. So I share Commissioner Bonner's hope that this Superior Court will do it more quickly, and I support the motion and encourage you to move forward, even though I do believe this will be a very long and slow road. I greatly appreciate the work you did to begin it at the previous hearing, and I consider the fact that Chief Berson failed to show up, I think, an indicator of the step that needs to go next. So I appreciate the motion regarding subpoenas, and I support it.
JP?
Just for clarification concerning retired Chief Berson, he has been lawfully served with a subpoena to appear today, which he has verbally declined to do. So are we looking for an expedited hearing with Superior Court to compel him to come on July 1st, or are we going to issue a whole new subpoena for him for July 1st?
No, we don't need to issue a new subpoena for Matt Berson, and that will be the next motion that I'll make, which will be to enforce our subpoena with respect to Mr. Berson and to request an expedited hearing before the LA County Superior Court on that issue. But that'll be the next motion after we determine whether we want to subpoena those 4 individuals that are part of the instant motion to appear on July 1st, 2022 at our next hearing in this matter. So that's been moved and seconded, but there may be further discussion.
Any other commissioners like to comment on the subpoenas that have been requested? Well, I just want to say that the first special hearing that this commission had produced substantial evidence that deputy gangs are inflicting harm on members of the public as well as members of the department. And here we are at the second special hearing, and what we hear is that people who have suffered harm at the hands of these deputy gangs are simply too afraid of retaliation and violence to come forward to testify before this body. This climate of fear and retaliation is evidence in and of itself that deputy gangs exist and that they intimidate witnesses from coming forward to testify. The special counsel is operating under impossible conditions, and we appreciate your efforts to bring the evidence into this body so that we can make an informed decision. Worse still, we hear that the LASD official assigned by Sheriff Villanueva to lead the investigation of deputy gangs, Matthew Berson, has failed to appear as required by law and really has made no arrangements to explain why he has not appeared. That the former head of the Professional Standards Division of the Sheriff's Department would conduct himself in this manner regarding a subpoena suggests that the department has something to hide, in my opinion. It is time to hear from the sheriff and Under Sheriff Murakami and the other LASD officials who have the authority to address deputy gangs, but it appears have done nothing to do so. And so I strongly support the motion to subpoena these officials. And if they follow Mr. Berson's example and flout our subpoenas, I agree with Commissioner Bonner that this body should do whatever is necessary to expeditiously enforce these subpoenas, because the public has a right to know what is going on in the department, and this behavior is completely unacceptable. With that said, do we need to have public comment regarding the subpoenas?
We do, but we don't have anybody signed up for public comment.
Great.
Unless there's somebody here that would like to comment on this, please raise your hand. If not, we can move forward with the vote.
Seeing no hands, we will take the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Bonner,
Aye.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Giggins is absent, Commissioner Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hicks,
Aye.
Chair Kennedy,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
Motion to subpoena individuals from LASD to appear at the next special meeting carries.
Thank you. I believe there was reference to a final motion that Commissioner Harris had talked about.
Yeah, if I could, I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair. In light of the failure to appear of Matthew Berson after proper service of the subpoena issued by the Civilian Oversight Commission, subpoena issued May 31st, 2022, and properly served, personally served on Matthew Berson on June 2nd, 2022, I would move the following: that County Counsel forthwith take any and all legal action to enforce the subpoena of the Oversight Commission by, among other things, applying for an order to show cause why Matthew Berson should not be held in contempt of the Commission subpoena, by any and all other legal actions needed to compel Mr. Berson's appearance and testimony under oath at the next commission, at a commission hearing, including any other relief, including fines, monetary sanctions, incarceration of Mr. Berson until if he continues to refuse to testify, until he's willing to testify, which is, by the way, a typical and ordinary remedy for somebody that is held in contempt for failing to appear for a subpoena. A further part of the motion would be to request that the LA County Superior Court, for reasons that have been stated here on the record, expedite the enforcement actions to compel Mr. Berson's compliance with the Commission subpoena, with a view toward an order compelling Mr. Berson to appear and testify under oath at the Commission's next special hearing into the existence and impact of deputy gangs, cliques, and exclusionary subgroups. It's kind of a long motion, but I think it should all be in there. Maybe I'm happy to have some amendments to it.
No, I'll second that motion.
I have a question.
Leo?
Just a point of clarification. Commissioner Bonner, your motion specifies or requests the court, the Superior Court, to act in an expedited manner. I'm not clear whether the motion also requests County Counsel to move expeditiously or to expedite the filing in the Superior Court.
That's a good point, and the part of the motion is directed to the Superior Court, but we certainly I think it's clear from the discussion, I'm happy to have any amendment on it, but that we also expect county council to move expeditiously to both file legal actions to compel Berson's appearance and to bring and to use procedures that are available in the Superior Court for expediting writs and injunctive relief and the like. I mean, those powers exist in the Superior Court. You have to ask the court to invoke them. So we're asking, certainly by our motion, the intent of the motion is to ask that the county council do that. I want to add one other thing. I don't want to put in the motion, but I would like county council. Typically, they appoint somebody, a counsel or a law firm, to do the enforcement action. I certainly don't want delay with that, with respect to that. I'd like county council to consider appointing one or more of the special counsel, not necessarily Mr. Deixler, who already has his hands full here, but we have a strong team of special pro bono counsel in this matter, and I'd like county council to consider appointing one or more of the special counsel who have signed up to assist this commission in the investigation to represent the Oversight Commission and the county with respect to the enforcement action. So that's a request. I'm not going to make that part of a motion, however, but that would be a request that I would hope would also be endorsed by the full commission.
Well, I see that we don't have county council live, but we have county council on the screen, and they've asked to be heard. So Danielle, do you want to address this issue?
Yes, thank you, Chair Kennedy, and thank you, Commissioner Bonner, for your motion. County Council would just suggest that in addition to requesting enforcement of the existing subpoena to Mr. Berson, that you also subpoena him again for the July 1st meeting. We think that would be a good suggestion for us to be able to add to our any enforcement that's.
Why?
I think we believe it just having it simultaneously, giving Mr. Berson another opportunity to appear and us being able to inform the court that we have also subpoenaed him again in addition to the other 4, give him another opportunity. It's just a suggestion for the motion, but we understand that the request is for immediate enforcement.
Well, here's how I would proceed as counsel, and I did practice law for quite a few years in Los Angeles, and that is I would file an action to hold him in contempt. I would tell Mr. Berson that he is going to be held in contempt. He is going to be fined. He's going to be sanctioned. If he doesn't appear at the next hearing, we're going to ask that the court actually incarcerate him until he's ready to testify. Then I would say, do you want to agree to be at the next hearing of the Oversight Commission on July 1st at 9 a.m.? But we're not issuing a new subpoena for him. We issued the subpoena. We expect him to appear under that subpoena. He has not appeared. We want county council, we want you to enforce the subpoena according to the desires and wishes of this commission. You're representing us in this matter. All right, go ahead. What's next?
Does anyone else want to?
I don't think she was finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Point 1, that we should issue a new subpoena for Berson. What's point 2?
Daniel, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I did, but go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Kennedy. I'm finished. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do any other commissioners want to weigh in? I mean, we've had a suggestion from county council. Rob, I think your position is clear. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this?
Yes. Sean?
Lil?
I agree we should not, at this point, issue a new subpoena for Matthew Berson. That's number 1. Number 2, there's been a lot of discussion as to what the motion actually says with a suggested amendment that it include requesting county council to move as expeditiously as possible to file a motion in Superior Court and to ask the Superior Court to expedite a hearing. So I think it would be important for Commissioner Bonner to restate his motion, including that information.
Right. Let me try to restate the motion. I think the motion should say, in light of Matthew Berson's intentional failure to appear before this commission after proper service of the commission's subpoena, and I indicated the date of the subpoena. I have it in front of me here. It was May 31st, 2022. It was properly and personally served on Mr. Berson on June 2nd, 2022. I move the following: the county council forthwith take any and all legal actions to enforce the subpoena of the LA County Superior, enforce the subpoena in the LA County Superior Court by applying, among other things, for an order to show cause why Matthew Berson should not be held in contempt of the commission subpoena, as well as any and all other actions needed to compel Matthew Berson's appearance, to include seeking fines, monetary sanctions, and if necessary, incarceration until he testifies. Further, the motion is to request the LA County Superior Court to expedite enforcement action of the commission's subpoena. Further, and this is the amendment that I believe Commissioner Rubin is making, further, it's moved that county council expeditiously file the enforcement action and that it also utilize all procedures of the LA County Superior Court to expedite the enforcement of our subpoena, of the commission's subpoena. And again, this would be with a view toward compelling Matthew Berson to appear and testify under oath at the commission's, if possible, at the commission's next special hearing into the matter that we're investigating, into the existence and impact of deputy gangs, cliques, and exclusionary subgroups on the sheriff's department and our community. So that's the motion. I can draft it up for staff at the appropriate time.
And I think it would be helpful also to provide staff with a copy of the previous motion that was voted on unanimously by the commission.
Yes, agree.
Okay, the motion has been seconded. I don't see anyone. Oh, go ahead, Irma.
I just want to state that when the commission issues a subpoena, it should be taken serious. And we should not have to repeat. We should go right to enforcement. And I feel this commission is important, and I think the sheriff's department and employees are following, and they're all doing the same thing by not, complying to our subpoenas. And I think it's time that we take further action and let them know that we're serious.
Any public comment?
For this particular motion, ma'am?
Yes. And there looks like there's one person who would like to comment.
Ma'am, would you like to comment on this particular motion or on general public comment?
It goes back too far for them to be disrespectful. I'm just putting a package right here, and I'm looking at Mr. Huntsman. Did what he was supposed to do in my case, and this was like in 2018. They never responded, and what they responded to me was told me that they wasn't. So I think his side of the blame, because people lie so much, they did not have their actions, and they're not being held accountable.
Thank you. If we have any public comment, it helps if you use the microphone for all of our viewers on the web. Anything else? Anyone else would like to make a comment? I don't see that. So I think at this time we need to have another vote.
Commissioner Bonner?
Aye.
Commissioner Cooper?
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia?
Aye.
Commissioner Harris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hicks?
Aye.
Chair Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Deixler, I don't think we have any additional business regarding the presentation today. Is that right?
Unfortunately, we have no witnesses, and we're ready to proceed on 1st of July, however.
Okay. Is this the time? I don't think we have anything else on the agenda that we take general public comment. I think we also have a family who would like to speak.
Yes, we have 2 general public comments.
Before we do that, I'm just apropos the subject, general subject we're on, which is subpoenas for individuals who appear to have relevant testimony, either because we have depositions they've given or otherwise. I'm just wondering whether, I'd like to ask our lead special counsel, Mr. Deixler, if there are any other individuals that we should consider subpoenaing for the July 1st, 2022 meeting. By the way, I want you to understand that if names occur to you after today, you can go through the process of the ad hoc committee regarding subpoenas with respect to additional witnesses. But I'm wondering right now whether there's some that we should consider, since we have the full commission here present with nothing else to do other to consider that issue.
So I think the answer properly is that there are other witnesses whom we may have to subpoena. We are in the process of trying to encourage people to testify voluntarily, discussions about allowing them to participate anonymously. And so I would like to exhaust that opportunity in light of what people have told us about what I believe to be bona fide fears, just to put them on the witness stand. It seems we have to balance it. So I'd like to exhaust that before I come back.
Fair enough, and that sounds fine to me. I just wanted to raise the issue.
One would think that the sheriff would encourage every member of the department to cooperate with you in your efforts to unearth all the evidence of deputy gangs within the department.
I made that specific request of the sheriff in my very first letter to him, which he hadn't responded to as yet, but I'm by nature an optimist, so perhaps his instruction will be forthcoming today.
You are an optimist, Mr. Deixler.
Right.
Lil, you wanted to ask Bert?
No, but I did want to, and I'm sure Mr. Deixler is aware of the fact that when the RAND study was in progress, the RAND researchers and professors indicated publicly in their report and in the public hearings and their presentation to the Board of Supervisors and to this commission that the sheriff had encouraged his staff to meet with and speak with the members of the RAND team and to assist them in the work that they were doing. So while the sheriff, at least according to RAND, did encourage his staff to participate with RAND, he has gone 180 degrees the other direction with this commission.
I would just say in support of that in the Citizens Commission for Jail Violence, which I had the opportunity to participate in, the then sheriff, unfortunately not available to be here today, encouraged the participation of the deputies, which was incredibly important to achieve the goals of that commission. So there's no doubt that an instruction from the sheriff to the deputies and others in the department would go light years toward allowing us to identify this problem and solve it.
I think we should just go on record. This commission should go on record by requesting that Sheriff Villanueva issue a public or a statement to the employees and deputies of the LA County Sheriff's Department that they should cooperate with the investigation being conducted by the Civilian Oversight Commission of the Sheriff's Department and its special counsel. I don't know whether we need a motion on that, but I mean, that's certainly I think the sense of this commission.
I don't think we need a motion. I think it's a great suggestion. Frankly, I'm surprised that we need to suggest that. I mean, he's the sheriff of the county. He should be cooperating and helping the special counsel develop this evidence.
Well, this is our investigation, so I think we should make that request of the sheriff that he cooperate in our investigation into deputy gangs, cliques, and exclusionary subgroups. I actually wouldn't mind making an motion. I mean, I don't know why not. I mean, we just ought to make it clear. So this isn't Mr. Deixler making this request. This is the Civilian Oversight Commission that has oversight of the Sheriff's Department that's making this request. I appreciate that Mr. Deixler made the request, and he's been blown off by the sheriff. All right, so let's make the request. Well, we'll see what the sheriff does. I'm not an optimist, Mr. Deixler, at least on this issue.
Is that your motion? Because I'll second it. That we officially request the sheriff to encourage all members of the Sheriff's Department to cooperate with the Civilian Oversight Commission in the investigation of deputy gangs.
If I can, I would like to offer an amendment to Commissioner Harris's second. Rather than encourage, I would like the language to be that the sheriff should direct his deputies to cooperate in the investigation.
I agree with that.
And I agree with that amendment. Shall we vote on it?
Well, we have comments. Irma, you wanted to weigh in?
Yeah, I just had a concern because the sheriff has constantly stated in public that this commission was illegal. So are we really going to expect him to do anything, or are we just making this motion just to be on record?
I don't think he's ever suggested the commission is illegal. I mean, the commission has been duly constituted under the charter of the LA County. I think he certainly questioned and criticized the commission. And I don't know that we want to go into chapter and verse there. Perhaps sometime we should. Perhaps we should be responding to some of the outrageously statements that the sheriff is making. That he's claimed that this commission is not independent, that it's not independent of the Board of Supervisors. Well, we are independent of the Board of Supervisors, and we are independent of the Sheriff's Department. We're an oversight commission, and so he's made statements. That probably would not give me a high level of expectation that he is going to follow this motion, but I hope he does because it's the right thing to do. The Civilian Oversight Commission has authority to do this investigation. It's this commission that's doing the investigation. We're simply being assisted, by the way, very ably by a large number, it's usually represented by Mr. Deixler, but there are at least 20 or perhaps 24 very good lawyers who are contributing time pro bono to assist this commission in the investigation. So I appreciate that Mr. Deixler can make requests, but he's assisting us in our investigation. So it's our investigation, and I think it's appropriate for us as a commission to request the sheriff to direct deputies and employees of the Sheriff's Department to cooperate in our investigation. If he chooses not to do so, well, so be it. But anyway, I don't think he's ever suggested we're ultra vires or we're illegal. Maybe he has. I don't know. I don't read all of his tweets.
He makes a lot of strange comments about this committee and the fact that he only reports to the citizens, not to the Board of Supervisors and not to you. So it's just interesting by his actions that he has never, showed up or, really taken this committee seriously.
No, understood.
Take public comment.
Well, I think we're appealing to his sense of honor and decency to direct his deputies to cooperate with the commission and the special counsel on this. So why don't we hear public comment?
Is the motion adopted by unanimous consent of the commission?
Well, we have
I
public
think we have to have the
comment
public
We have public
comment
comment
before
on the
we
motion. I'm
vote.
sorry. I thought it was general public comment.
Is there anyone that would like to comment regarding this motion before us? If not, sure.
Let's take the vote then.
Aye.
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 Commissioner Harris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hicks?
Aye.
Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So So I think that concludes our slate of motions. And the only thing left is to take general public comment. And I was told that a family member of somebody would like to speak who's been the victim of police violence.
Yes, our first speaker is Chris Vasquez. If you are here, Mr. Vasquez, please move.
Good morning. Um, My name is Chris Vasquez. My brother, Marco Vasquez Jr., was killed on October 6, 2019, by the LASD Pico Rivera station. These gangs are infiltrating every station, and their road tactics are frankly appalling. That night, I could have lost my parents, myself as well. Not only my brother, I was actually hit by a bullet as well because of the road tactics. They just came in and started shooting. No one should have to be going through that. His children, his wife, myself, my parents all witnessed the murder. And frankly, the fact that they continually investigate themselves is ridiculous because we go nowhere. They continue roadblocking and doing whatever they can to protect themselves. And by swearing over the badge, they're supposed to be protecting us, not killing us. And they have become the new cancer in this world. They take us down one by one, and there's so many impacted families. It's ridiculously how much sorrow they're causing, and what they're doing is appalling. And thank you so much for what you're doing. And I'm here representing my family and others who couldn't be here today, but thank you for everything that you're doing, hearing the passion that you have to try getting the subpoenas. And we need to get rid of Alex Villanueva and anyone else who is accomplice to their murders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. Is there anyone else?
Our next speaker is Jacqueline Ventures.
Good morning. I'm not a
Morning.
stranger here. The sheriff is part of the gang, so we can't expect him to do anything. And he's not going to do anything. He's been disrespectful ever since he's been appointed. I have family members that work with the Los Angeles Sheriff Department that hold high positions, and that's what they didn't know. With God and the help from law enforcement and some of the other agencies, the Department of Justice, the Board of Supervisors, that's what got me here after 12 years. The stuff that I brought here last week, those are facts, and facts outweigh the truth. Investigator Steve Fan has lied, and I need to know where to go from here. My son just called yesterday stating that, he got a letter from Gascon's office about a hearing, and I'm wondering, is this hearing based on this corrupt investigation by investigator Steve Fan? But he didn't know that I had met with Gascon 2 days after he told me that, and Gascon right now is waiting on the information, the letter that he was supposed to send, stating that the deputy one of his fellow deputies had to tell that he had the gun, or they had to have a witness, which is a lie. We've seen people go to jail with no weapon, and they was found guilty. This deputy is guilty. I'm trying to get this DVD. I accidentally sent the DVD out that we fought for 10 years to get his file from, and the KPCC Radio and LA Times sued in the Supreme Court to get it. My son Tanel was shot 5 times in the back, and I need justice. I need to know where I'm at right now. This Department of Justice, this guy, Steve Fan, he referred me over to somebody else. And this man, Michael Dean, told me he don't even know why he did this. This stuff is ridiculous that as a parent and a lifetime member of the National Association for Blacks in Criminal Justice, which my friends are not here today, this is a journey for us. And my journey today is not just for my son, it's for justice for all. They is wrong what they're doing, and we deserve better. And we need you guys' help. We don't need you guys to go anywhere. We need you here, and we appreciate the work that you guys are doing. But now we need to take action and hold them accountable.
Thank you.
That is the last speaker who signed up. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Please just make your way to the front.
I see a couple hands. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frederick, and the point is taken about urgency for taking all of these actions and not issuing another subpoena. But I think that there are various factors at play, and that we have an opportunity to take a multi-pronged approach, continuing in this route, but also finding or making it clear what the end game is, and what strategies can be taken to gain participation from the people who are afraid to. And for those who are just tuning in, I think that there's a gap between why this is important and what we are trying to achieve. I've been following along just a little bit, but I think that's kind of missing in what we're doing here. And I think it's also important to make clear of the immediate goals. Like, we can make policy change if these things are uncovered, but not necessarily just for the families, but what does accountability look like once this is all done? I think those things need to be made clear. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another speaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to speak for those that no longer with us. And one of those gentlemen is Michael Zinsu. And he was an ex-Black Panther back in the 80s that spoke of police brutality and was an activist. He spoke of the crime and the abuse in the sheriff's department, in the police department. It's come to find out that Pasadena is one of the worst police brutality departments. I listened to the meetings. I've been, during the COVID, I've been listening to you. I feel like I know you. I've seen you in the meetings, and I see you, and I see you, and I see you, and I see you, and I keep hearing the same thing. Mr. Villanueva is not coming. He hasn't come. Please step it up. We need to get to some kind. The rest of us would have already been in jail.
Yeah.
The
Right.
rest of us, any brown person would have been in jail. And so, in the name of Michael Zinsu, may he rest in peace. Brother, you were right. The crime is still inside. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Was she? She didn't say her name.
Okay. I don't think there is anything else on the agenda. There's someone's pointing.
I believe there's somebody that would like to speak.
Okay.
May you confirm? We have one more speaker.
Hello, Commissioners. Good morning. Good day, everybody. My name is Helen Jones, and my son John Horton was murdered March 30th, 2009 by the 3,000 boy deputy sheriff gang members. And this gang, of course, this commission know that I've been crying this out for like the last 5.5 years, really the last 13 years, but the last 5.5 years with this commission. Y'all know how bad the deputy sheriff gangs are. Y'all done investigate them. Their lawyer school has investigated them. Now there's another report out right today that UCLA, Dr. Terrence Keel and Dr. Nick Shapiro has put out, and this is a real report. This report comes from not only my son's death, but all the other family members' death. It's 59 autopsies, and I just hope this commission really take a look at this report, because this is a real report. This is a report that y'all can look at the autopsy report and see exactly what happened to our children. And this is real. You can look at our autopsies. Like I said before, y'all can go through our depositions. All the information is there. This is not a secret no more. Y'all know how many deputy gangs it is. We have been suffering. I've been suffering for the last 13 years. And since the last 13 years, I have watched family after family after family. And I'm gonna tell you something, it's not easy for me. It's still hard for me right today. It's been 13 years since I lost my son. And when I tell you that I'm still in pain today, People really think like, oh, Helen, it's been 13 years for you. No, it's been 13 years that I've been suffering for 13 years. And then to see the system that's supposed to lock these deputy gangs, like they got more power than anybody. I have never seen a department have more power than the president. Because that's what it seemed like. This sheriff get to do whatever he want to do. Right today, the new thing that the sheriff department doing right today is threatening families not to sue by taking their money from them. That's the new thing that the sheriff is doing today, bullying families in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have any other comment? I'm going to ask our executive director, do you have anything to say? Otherwise, I think we're going to finish this special hearing on deputy gangs.
No, just a reminder that our regular commission meeting is next Thursday, 9 a.m.
And that will be virtual. Mr. Deixler, anything else before we conclude? Well, this matter is coming to a head. I hope our colleagues at the county council have heard how distressed people are about how long this issue of noncompliance with subpoenas has dragged on. I know that they are doing what they can to move it forward. Mr. Deixler, I think I speak for not just the ad hoc committee, but the whole commission. We appreciate your Herculean efforts to develop evidence under these circumstances. My hope is that Sheriff Villanueva will change his ways and direct his deputies to cooperate with you. We will resume anew in this Robinson courtroom on July 1st at 9 a.m. in hopes that the members of the department who can actually do something about deputy gangs will respond to our subpoenas and testify at a public hearing. So thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks,